Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are blessed. And I certainly hope you all are living your best lives. Living your best lives free. And what do I mean by that? Well, the scriptures in John 8:36 reads, "If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed." That's baby affirming. You shall be free indeed. In other words, he who the Son sets free is free indeed. I'm referring to the Son of the Most High God, Jesus Christ, our Savior, our Lord, our Redeemer, our Keeper, our Deliverer. He is the only one that can set us free, y'all. He is the only one that can save us. He's the only one that is going to be able to transform our bodies from these earthly bodies to heavenly bodies. There's no other way to eternal life with the Most High but through Jesus Christ. And He is the only one that can set us free. Hey y'all, just wanted to chime in. I'm going to have some cooking later on in this video, so you'll just sit back and relax, listen to some music, and just doing here this and that, and just showing you some things, and just a little bit of a follow-up from that pet training mat. If you haven't seen that video, go and check it out. I'll post it up here on this video. I talk a little bit more about it, but I was able to replace the tumbleweeds that I had in the backyard with these training mats, and so I just wanted to show you that. They work really well. So far so good, but in the front yard and the backyard, the neighborhood cats have not bothered those areas at all, so I'm really happy about it. So real quick, I wanted to say some things about the shark. This has done a phenomenal job on my rugs. If you can look at these, I have these 2 rugs here that I usually clean with the shampooer. They only look like this when I shampoo them. If I use a regular handheld vacuum, you don't see these lines. It doesn't pull all of the lint and stuff out of the rugs the way the shampooer does. But this vac mop, this shark, look at all the lines. I don't know if you can catch that on this video. There's some sunlight there, but there are lines and everything. These are very old rugs too, by the way. They're old. I'm going to be swapping these out. I'm just really happy about this. 3 cat beds. This one here is for Poochie. That's his favorite blanket. He just picked up on that ever since he's been there, and he has his favorite toys there. I put them in there, and then that's for Stinky. He loves to lay there, and Poochie likes to lay there. Stinky has his favorite toys, and then I placed another one there for Baby. Her favorite spots are like on top of the Chester. She'll lay on top of the sofas, either in the living room or the cat room, or she'll just lay with me on the bed. And then she has a chair. I have an office chair that she likes to lay on that I placed a blanket on as well. So she doesn't really have a favorite spot the way they do. Poochie and Stinky both lay on these spots every day. So I thought maybe I'd place beds there, and I just placed the bed there for Baby just in case she wants to join them. Now, they're not aware that these beds are here. I opened this up while they're outside. It could go either way. Cats are funny. You bring something in new and you think, oh, they'll just love it, but they may or may not like it. It could go either way. One may like theirs and the other may not. But either way, these will go to good use. So it's not in vain in getting them. But yeah, let's see how this goes. I want to welcome all of you to another cooking video. So you're just going to sit back, relax, and watch me cook chicken and dumplings. Yep, chicken and dumplings. I am cooking a big pot of chicken and dumplings. Had an experience with a restaurant where we bought some soup, one of our favorite cream soups. It's like a dumpling soup, similar to chicken and dumplings. And it was horrible, watered down. So what's happening is some of the favorite restaurants are watering down the thick, good soups that they used to have. Some of the cheese that you're getting seems like it's a form of imitation cheese, no longer has flavor. Just a lot of the things that you liked about certain dishes at restaurants. In my neck of the woods, they are cutting back and cutting corners, and you're no longer getting what you are paying for. It's more expensive and yet very, very nasty. So you have to do it yourself, and I like to cook, and so what I'm going to do, I have some celery here. I'm going to start off with just making some broth. So just out of those few party wings, I'm going to make some broth, but I also bought additional broth that I will add for the chicken and dumplings. But I do want some good flavor coming from the seasonings that I can make from my own broth, and I'm going to add that to the chicken and dumplings. I will make a dough for the dumplings. You will see that, and that is what we're going to have this week. I am going to prepare it, and I will show you how I do that. I will be cooking next weekend as well. I will be cooking a big meal for us, and so I will get some of that on video. More cooking to come. So I'm not going to start cooking the chicken and dumplings until tomorrow, but I'm just getting a jump start because I like the flavor of my own broth versus the store-bought broth. And so I'm going to get started on that today, and then tomorrow I will continue with making the chicken and dumplings, and you'll see the rest of that tomorrow. Okay, so I'm just going to cut up these onions, and just a little fun fact about onions. If you are having difficulties when you cut your onions with tearing up because they're strong, especially the brown onions. These are sweet onions, but the brown onions, you can have a tendency, they can be very strong, and I think red onions can be like that too. But you see the root part here versus the other part that I cut off, that little tip, and then here's the part with the root. If you save the root for last, when you're cutting, if you want to cut up this whole onion or whatever, save that part for last, because when you cut that part, that's what brings the strongest odor from the onion, and that's what causes you to tear up. So that's just a little fun fact about onions. I learned that from my mom when cooking, and so I'll do something like that. I just won't immediately cut it off the way I cut off that other side there. I'm not going to use all of this onion, so I'm just going to cut a little bit of it. Just wanting to tune in and say that. I'm not cutting them up in large pieces or tiny pieces, a little, medium size, I guess. They don't have to be that tiny. So you all can just sit back and relax and watch me, or listen to music while I cook. But I did want to come in and say welcome to all of my new subscribers. I am very excited that you all have decided to subscribe to my channel. I do not take you for granted, and I appreciate all of you old timers that have been rocking with me from the very beginning and tuning in, and I really appreciate you all. You all are really inspiring me to want to continue on this YouTube journey. I know I have some words to say to all of you in regards to Jesus Christ, who is our Savior, our Lord, and our Keeper. And He's the only one that can fulfill us during our times of need. I just want to let you know that I am a prayer warrior, and I'm always praying. And I think that is one of the best ways that we can stay in tune and in relationship with the Lord. And I think it's important not just to come on this platform to say, watch me cook or listen to me talk or listen to my opinions. I want to point the finger to the Most High God. I want you all to know that He is the only way to eternal life. If you're on the fence, if you feel that you are indecisive about whether Jesus Christ is real, whether He is the only way, well, I'm here to tell you, as a living witness, as a living disciple, a disciplined one, one who shares the good news about Jesus Christ. I'm here to let you know, in my experience, in my research, in my day-to-day spiritual walk, He is the only way. He is the only one that can fulfill and set me free. And if He can do it for me, He can do it for you. Okay, so I cut up the onions and the butter. I cut up the onions and the celery, and I'm going to put that into the pot along with this butter and some olive oil. And we're going to go ahead and add the chicken wings in there. And then I'm going to make a nice big pot of broth. So I just washed these little party wings really well, and I'm just going to season them. I'm not going to add any salt to these because I'm just making a broth here. What I do want to add is some onion powder, though. I feel like this onion powder is coming out of here too well, but I guess it is. Sometimes when you put this over the hot steamer, the onions get stuck onto those little holes, and then it won't come out. But these are coming out pretty well. Make sure you wash your hands when you're dealing with any kind of meat, or anything for that matter. When you're cooking for others, you want to make sure your environment is clean, your hands and things are clean. I know I'm not a germaphobe, no, and I know people think that we're too germophobic when we talk about washing hands, but during these times when there are flus and different things going on, that's one of the best ways we can help to avoid the transfer of germs and things of that nature. I'm just going to add some onion, garlic, some, oh, this one is closed. I think I have another open garlic powder. Garlic powder, here it is. I'm going to add some Italian seasoning and some pepper. Actually, I'm going to add some crushed garlic cloves as well. So whenever you're touching your meat and all that kind of stuff, in between, don't forget to wash your hands if you don't want to contaminate all of your other stuff. I'm just going to season this really good on this one side. I don't want to keep touching this meat. And this will get in there. This onion and celery, these are cooking in the butter and they're cooking in the butter and in the olive oil. We're going to get some fat from these little tiny wings, but this is going to give me some broth, homemade broth, and that's what I'm going for. Here is some of the Italian seasoning. Put that in there too. Get some of that herb flavor in there. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add some crushed garlic to the onion, and some crushed garlic from the jar in the onion and the I'm going to add that to the I'm going to add that to the celery and onion. Let that cook. So I thought I was filming it, but I just simply added some water to the chicken and mixture there. As you can see, I've already added it. I thought I was filming it, but I didn't get it. So let's just simply adding some water to your mixture there, and you're going to get a nice broth from that. Add a little bit more, and I don't think I need too much more water than that because I may not get the flavor that I'm looking for. So we're just going to let that come to a nice slow boil. Yeah, I think I can add a little bit more water. It looks to be seasoned pretty well. It'll come to a nice slow boil, and we will have our broth for our chicken and dumplings tomorrow. You know what? I have some poultry seasoning. I'm going to add a little bit of that to it as well. Give it a little bit more flavor. You can also add some chicken bouillon. I would suggest the non-sodium chicken bouillon. I didn't add any to that, but you can add that as well. I do have some up there, but I'm just going to keep it as the way I have it seasoned here. And it's going to come to a boil, and I'm going to let it slow cook. And with the chicken wings, I can use those. I'm just going to break them apart away from the bones and add them to the chicken and dumplings. Okay, so it's the next morning. I made the broth yesterday, and the broth is now finished. It's cooled down. What I'm going to do is transfer this broth into this boiler here, and I'm going to take some of the meat from the chicken wings and put in the broth as well. Okay, so now that I have all that meat cut up into the broth, and so now I'm going to make our dumplings. We're going to have, in our dumplings, we're going to have some flour, we'll have some salt, some baking powder, egg, some buttermilk, and we'll also have some butter. So what you'll want to do is mix or add your dry ingredients in one bowl, and put all of your wet ingredients in another bowl, and then you're going to mix them, all together. Okay, so that's why I have two separate bowls, and let me get started on this. Hey y'all, I forgot to add the recipe to the dough on the screen, so let me just do a quick voiceover. The full recipe for the dough, I did a half of the recipe, but if you're making this for a big family, then you may want to take advantage of the full recipe, but I just halved everything since it's just for me and Handsome. So I have 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon or less of salt, a cup of buttermilk, 1/3 cup of your butter, and of course as you see, you're going to blend the dry mix really well, and then you're also going to beat the egg a little bit as you add the liquid ingredients, and then you combine the liquid with the dry ingredients, if that makes sense. So as you see me making this here, it's just for me and Handsome, so I just halved everything. So if you like the number of dumplings that I have in this recipe, then just half everything. Okay. want to mix all of your dry and liquid ingredients together until you get a nice smooth consistency like this. You can see that. It's like a nice doughy consistency. And then we're going to put this over to the side. I'm just going to put this in the refrigerator until and start making the soup mixture. Okay, so we'll just put this to the side in the refrigerator, and then I will make the soup mixture. So I'm just going to add, we already have our white meat from the broth, and I like to mix mine with the dark meat, so I'm going to put some boneless chicken thighs. I'm going to cut these up. I'm going to add some peas and carrots. I just got the frozen ones, and then I had a few frozen asparagus in the freezer, so I'm going to cut up a few of these asparagus tips and put them in the soup mixture as well. And so we'll get that set up. And those of you who are new to cooking, of course, you make sure that you clean all of your chicken really well before you start cooking with it. When you take it out of the package, you want to rinse the chicken off really good, okay, before you start cutting and doing things. And then I always say wash your hands when you're using your meat, and then transferring other ingredients and that kind of thing. So make sure you wash your hands as well. Those are for you beginners. Old timers already know what time it is. So you just want to cut up your pieces of chicken in small little tiny pieces. I don't like big chunks in my soup, so I cut them, cut them as the size that you like. Let's put it that way. And I cut them up like around like that. You can see that. And so we're just going to cut up your chicken thighs. Okay, so I have all of the chicken cut up in tiny pieces. I like them that tiny in my soup, but if you like them larger chunks, it's totally up to you. It's not easy to cut up chicken when it's raw, but I like to do it that way because I can get my seasoning over everything right at the beginning of my soup dish. But you can also do it the way I did with the broth. You can cook your chicken first and then break them up in pieces later, and it's easier that way. So whichever works best for you. Okay, so we're just going to add a little bit of oil. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil to the boiler. Okay, so just around a tablespoon of, I use olive oil of the oil of your choice, and then we're just going to put this meat in, and we're going to season the meat, and then we're going to add the other ingredients. So we're going to add our seasonings. I'm just going to put in some more, onion powder, garlic powder, some rosemary, and what else do I have? Some poultry seasoning, and some seasoning salt, and pepper. Now remember, when we made our broth, we seasoned our broth very good, and we put our ingredients in there as well, so that's going to give you some good flavor. And we also cut up our onion and our cut up our onion and celery in there, so we don't have to add extra celery or onion because we've already did that. Here are some rosemary. Just I need a couple of things of rosemary, give it some flavor, more flavor. There we are. There's some pepper. like a lot of pepper in there. And add your seasoning salt. So as you can see, the chicken is cooking nicely. It's developing its own juices with the flavorings, and so that's going to be a good thing. Mixed in with that broth and the vegetables, we're going to have a nice chicken and dumpling soup. So as you see, the juices are coming out really nicely in the meat. It smells very good. This is Southern style soul food cooking, chicken and dumplings. This is not an exact recipe. You can always tweak it the way you want. You can add vegetables that you like, take out what you don't like, and you can make it according to how you want to make it. So I'm going to start adding these vegetables in a few minutes. So I cut up some asparagus tips, and I'm going to add some asparagus tips to the soup, as well as the peas and the carrots. I just have some frozen peas and carrots. I unthaw the frozen, let them unthaw. I may put the whole thing in there. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put the whole thing in there. And then just adding another layer of seasoning to your vegetables. Onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder. Not much, because I added some garlic in the broth. Get some more pepper, a little bit of pepper. I had enough pepper on that chicken, and I also added pepper to the broth. And I'll add a little bit of seasoning salt here. Give it some more flavor to our vegetables. Okay, so you're just cooking those vegetables and the meat and everything down. You want to make sure you cook those vegetables very well. And once you do that, we're going to start adding our broth. And then finally at the end, we'll add the dumplings. But make sure you cook everything down, taste everything to make sure that you have a good seasoning in there. And then also there's an option if you want to add butter. Butter adds a little bit more body and richness to your soup, but that's totally up to you. Okay, so everything is cooked down nicely the way I like it. And what I'm going to do is now add the broth. And just for you beginner cookers, just wanting to add another little extra tip to help you out. If you're cooking for the holidays, or you're doing a first time cooking for your family or meal, or for your family and loved ones, and you're doing this for the first time, you'll be working with a lot of dishes, a lot of ingredients, and things can just accumulate in your kitchen. So what I like to do is wash my dishes as I am done with them, and then that way I don't have a big pile of dishes and things of that nature waiting for me after I'm done cooking. Because the cooking, especially when you're making a lot of meals, that's going to be overwhelming enough, waiting and timing everything out and all of that. So you don't want to get overwhelmed with a big, stack of dishes that you have to do once you're done cooking, because you'll be tired and all of that. So kind of wash and clean off your counters and your stove and all of your dishes and stuff as you go, and then that way you're not going to be overwhelmed at the end. Just the tip. Now this is where buying your extra broth or your store-bought broth, this is where this comes in handy. Now as you're cooking your dish, and see, we're going to be cooking down all of those juices and stuff from the chicken, the broth and everything. As you're cooking, the longer you cook, it's going to, your liquid is going to cook down, and so you can always add extra broth to it, and so that's just going to be more goodness. And so this is going to be a soup type consistency. It's going to be thicker because we're going to make a roux, and we may not have to make the roux, because when you add the dumplings is pretty much a roux anyway. You have your flour and your butter in there, your oil, and so that's going to thicken it up. But if your dumplings do not thicken your soup to your consistency or to your liking, you can always make your roux with some flour and oil or butter and add it to the soup to make it thicker. So I like my soups nice and thick, so I'm just going to make a little roux already. I already know that I'm going to want it to be a little thicker than what the dumplings are going to make it to be. And so I'm just going to add equal parts of olive oil and flour and just make a little roux here. Just stirring it up. You want to stir that up beforehand and get that all in there. I'll probably add a little bit more flour in there, and this is going to thicken up your soup mixture. Make sure it's nice and mixed before you add it in. You don't want to make dumplings out of your flour here. Okay, that'll probably do it. Okay, so this is already boiling, so this should tell me how thick it's going to be as I add the roux. Okay, so this soup is pretty much done and ready for the dumplings. As you can see, that roux gave it a nice little thick texture, as you can see that. And so you can make it as thick as you want, but this is exactly how I want mine. And then what I'm going to do is add the dumplings. Now, when you add the dumplings, what they're going to do is float to the top. And they're just going to cook a little bit, and then you'll see they'll cook, and then they'll be done. Make sure you cook all of those vegetables down and get all your flavorings and stuff in there, because once you add your dumplings, then that's going to be the end. Okay, so because you don't want to cook your dumplings too much. All right, so let's add our dumplings. Just add a little bit of flour to your dough so that it won't be so sticky when you're adding it to your pot here. And so I had it in the refrigerator and just added some flour just so it won't be so sticky. Now you can do this a number of ways. Some folk roll out their dough and cut them in squares and do all of those things. I just take little pieces and put them directly into the pot. Okay, so I'm just going to angle the camera so that you can see it. And so you just take little pieces and just put them in the, they're going to get larger too, because you have some baking powder and have other ingredients in there. So just take little pieces and put them in. As they cook, they're going to rise up to the top. Okay, so you see how the dumplings, they're going to rise to the top, and you're just going to just give it a little stir and let them cook very lightly. And it can get really sticky when you're breaking them apart. So that's where the flour comes in hand. And then they'll be good, nice cooked dumplings. So a good way to get your children involved in helping you cook this meal, well, the older children can cut up the vegetables. We had our celery and onion, and I added, for me, the asparagus tips or whatever vegetables you want to add to your soup. And the younger kids, you can get them involved. You know, you can have your children roll out the dough, and if you don't want your dumplings this large, you can piece off smaller pieces, because they will thicken and rise as the heat hits them as they cook. So just know that as you piece off your dough, they're going to get larger as they go into the soup mixture. Yeah, children like to get involved when it comes to cooking. I know I used to like to get involved. Both my mother and father cooked, and they cooked very well. I'm not from the South, but they were from the South, so that's why my food is influenced by Southern soul food cooking. They were both from the South, so that is why I am inspired to cook Southern meals. And then I add my little, flavor to it, like the asparagus tips and things of that nature. That's our West Coast type thing over here. But whatever you want to add, you just make it to your liking. And just a little bit about the cats. Baby, she was running around and playing as I was cooking. Stinky and Poochie are both outside in the backyard as usual, keeping an eye out on everything in the backyard. Now Baby, she has a mission every day. Her job is to make sure her toys are in place, and it's a very, very serious thing. She needs to make sure that her toys are properly under the sofa, under the bed, all the areas in the bathroom and bathrooms, and all the areas where she spreads her toys out in the cat room. She has to make sure every morning they are situated and in place, and that is her job every morning, and she is very serious about it. You can't disturb her while she's doing that. So while the boys are out, doing their thing and protecting the backyard, she's in the house with me, making sure her toys are exactly where they need to be. She makes sure that they're organized and situated. So I let her do that. And once she does that, they will all come in and have their breakfast. And sometimes they'll eat before they go and play, depending on how they're feeling that day. And so as we speak now, it is going on 11 o'clock. And she is now tired. She has tired herself out because she was running and dashing back and forth throughout the rooms, and she goes outside a little bit and comes back in. But her job is definitely to make sure that those toys are in place. So these chicken and dumplings are done. I put everything on low, and as you stir it up, you can see everything is done. The dumplings are done. They have cooked down and cooked through. How can you tell that they're cooked through? I give it like 5 or 10 minutes of cooking, and then I just go by taste. And you know how dumplings taste. So it's going to give you like that noodle type taste or dumpling type taste. And these here are definitely done. And as you can see, the soup is nice and thick and rich. And that is going to be your chicken and dumpling soup. I'm going to put some of this in a bowl so you can see it a little bit closer. And I believe we are done with this recipe. Okay, so this is your chicken and dumplings in the bowl. It's early before, like it's going on 11. I don't eat until 12, so I'm not going to have this serving. of chicken and dumplings. I'm going to wait it out until 12 and then eat. But I just wanted to serve this up just so you can see the consistency of it. You can see the richness of the soup. The dumpling is cooked nice, and that's why I like to add the butter in the dough. Gives it that nice rich flavor. And if you add your butter to the dough, you don't have to add extra butter to the soup mixture. But that's all totally up to you. That's just how I do it. I believe the butter from the dumplings give it a nice butter flavor, and it adds that flavor to the whole soup mixture. So yeah, that's the chicken and dumplings. You see the peas and carrots and stuff in there, and it's just a nice old-time, old-fashioned Southern style recipe that everyone in the family can enjoy. So there you have it.